Seiko versus Casie is what we have coming up in our fourth match of today. And in this one, something I'm really looking forward to is to seeing if Seiko can turn around the record that he has, which is in stark contrast to what was happening in Season 1. And if for Casie, if it's going to continue this trend that he's had, where it's this middling ground, win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game.
Yeah.
It's been back and forth for him. And this is the time of the week, the time of the season where I think you really need to start capitalizing, and that this is going to begin to set the rest of that direction for you. Casie wants to win, getting positive. Seiko needs to win to start coming back. And so this matchup is important for both of these two. And the way that a week one is, it starts to set the tone for you. You've been in a middle ground, and you needed to have something change.
Yeah, and Casie did pick up a really important win last week over Fino. It kind of got lost in the whole shuffle about just how dramatic that whole thing was, about Fino losing, how important a win that was for Casie, because we saw the whole thing where Casie felt so bad he just didn't even want to deliver the lethal blow at the end of the game. And I tried to remind him at the end of the interview, like, end of the day, just remember, that's a really big win for you, like, regardless of how upset you are for your friend. Because if it wasn't for that win, Casie would be getting dragged right down into that mix with Fino. So that's actually created this point of separation where maybe now, with a tone setter here, like you said, he can start to look up to playoff spots as opposed to looking down to relegation.
Yeah, I think that's a really important note to make. You have to capitalize on the opportunities that are set in front of you. And that's one of them. Turn time is a real factor. We've seen players lose games to it before. It's a part of the game. You have to be able to foresee these kinds of things and account for them. And so it's an unfortunate circumstance to be in, but you're trying to win at the end of the day. And so, I'm looking at this matchup right now. Priest protecting on both sides. Warrior banned away from Casie in this one, and then Paladin banned away from Seiko. I feel like when you don't have the Paladin lineup yourself, that often is a high priority ban on that side. Like, it means you're bringing Quest Shaman usually, and that is not a matchup you want to face against Holy Wrath Paladin with.
Nope, and not unless you have some real spicy tech in there, which we are seeing from one or two players. The Spellward Jeweler, as you mentioned, from Purple in Americas. Hypothesizing that Sephorian Bomber from Swids kind of has nods towards the same kind of thing. But yeah, just fairly vanilla Quest Shaman, like you just don't get there against Holy Wrath Paladin. It's very rare.
Seeing Viper paired in a completely different way against Druid and against Holy Wrath Paladin too, with Hakar and the Boom Ship included in his warrior deck. Also with a Archmage Vargoth in there as well to perhaps duplicate the Boom Ship and get more minions in play. Like, he's got a crazy build of warrior this week. I really encourage you guys to go check out a lot of the decks because so much has dramatically changed this week.
Yeah, really, really interesting week in terms of decks.
Always head over to playhearthstone.com/esports and keep up to date with the deck lists that are there and also the schedule and what's going to be taking place, because also during this week we're going to start seeing rematches take place between players. As they cross that halfway line, that's what's going to be up in this one. See if players can secure that 2-0 or if they're going to be at the 1-1 sitting afterwards.
And also, if you do choose to go look at some of those deck lists, don't just gloss over a deck, just go, oh, okay, that's Quest Shaman. Like, pay attention, because there's some weird stuff in a lot of these decks, just in terms of little tech cards, little matchup choices, stuff like that.
A lot of cool influence that's taking place. Already seeing the discovery.
Welcome to New Frightened Flunky.
This place is scary.
Tauren Warrior, play the curve. No, all right.
Yeah, Emoshog Enforcer. It's really good against Druid.
That is very fair.
It's just, like, so annoying. Like, I have been on the receiving end of the Moshog Enforcer from a Frightened Flunky, and I'm like, I don't know how to kill this thing.
You just Oasis Surger into it, like, 3 turns in a row. So, next turn. Oh.
And I'm like, stop! Moshog Enforcer, leave me alone! You play on his terms. In very Seiko fashion, I expect this 2 damage to giddy up.
No tune can hold me.
He will never shy away from damage, and I love to see it.
What's he going to do? Not attack?
Yeah, for real. You gonna armor up and trade? Yeah, right. Stuff and play, deal damage. Now, the Harrison Jones, I do have a question mark about. I'll be curious to see if this gets launched in there. Nope.
Did that answer your question, Admirable?
Let's say it wasn't Weapons Project. Like, say you drew Plague of Wrath.
Then I still want to draw cards with Harrison so I can find activators for my Plague of Wrath.
You gotta draw a Weapons Project to do that.
Yeah, you do. But it still, like, increases the average quality of your draw, right? Because it's no longer like, I just want to draw my Brawl, or like, I just want to draw more pressure or whatever. Like, suddenly, If you have Harrison in your hand, like Weapons Project is just always a good draw. And Seiko has... Oh, Seiko only has one of them, actually. Okay,
Yeah.
that changes things. In that case, I might have been on your side if the Weapons Project didn't pop up.
belongs in a museum.
It's all a moot point, but I want to debate it.
Yeah.
That is just such a powerful combo. So now off to the races. Casie is featuring Chef Nomi, King Ferris, and Elise the Enlightened, packed into the Quest Druid deck here. 1 copy of Ferocious Owl, 2 copies of Wrath, 2 copies of Power of the Wild, and the Worthy Expedition coming in at 2 copies as well. So players were very concerned with defeating Warrior from a value perspective coming into this week. I think it's wise given what's happened in the weeks previous. We just didn't have enough gas a lot of times.
And so the opportunity cost for that is he's down to 1 Innovate, 1 Ferocious Howl, I guess, are the 2 biggest losses out of the deck, which, yeah, I mean, Innovate is a very exciting card in a lot of very specific positions, but it's also, like, sometimes reasonably dead. Sometimes you just cycle it towards the end of a game with a Crystal Merchant or whatever, which is fine, don't get me wrong. But I can kind of get it just playing more stuff over more Innovates in the deck. Especially if, you know, time after time, week after week, I think players are getting more concerned that they can actually just get outvalued by Warrior in this matchup. It didn't used to be a possibility. I question whether that is still a possibility when you do have Elise in the deck already, like Casie does. Like, this is a very different dynamic than what we saw from Kalento, where Kalento had to win a 33% brawl to end the game there, or else he just couldn't win. But from Casey's side, having Elise just to essentially go nigh on infinite with the threats that you can get in the late game, completely different dynamic.
Critical turn for Seiko. How do you make the most of it?
What now?
I really want to be playing an Armageddillo sooner rather than later. Does concede a lot of board presence, though. You're just hoping you can make it up later, and I think you can with Dr. Boom, 2 Mordens rushing, Moshog Enforcer getting buffed as well. I do think you can make this back up.
It's a scary turn, though.
It is. But I think the hand quality is just of such where you just have to play the Armageddillo.
Casie losing the Lodi on the previous turn, I think, is a really big deal here. It weakens the Starfall in future turns, but that pickup off the Worthy Expedition, massive.
That is huge.
Ace Searcher is so good. I think you might be in Brawl Silence territory.
Oof. Ouch. That upsets me.
Moshog Enforcer is pretty big.
Moshog Enforcer is pretty big.
I just don't want it to not kill things, you know? Like, just start Wrath bumped and then suddenly...
How do you feel about taking 19 this turn? Is that off the table?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, you could have truncated the word teen on that and just left it at 9 and I'd have been off the table
What?
for me.
You would play Dr. Moon Mad Genius and take 9 here, surely. Like, real talk.
No.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't.
Okay.
I am never interested in taking a Pyroblast's worth of damage. Sometimes you gotta, but you don't have to right now, so I'm not going to.
Well, yes, I concede that 19 is a ridiculous amount of damage to take. That's why I asked that question, so we could have this humorous back and forth.
I'm covering up the 9-5 with my hand, and I still don't want to do it.
See,
Yeah.
if I cover up the 9-5, I think I'd do it.
What's the difference between me and you?
Yeah. I'll make this look good.
Yeah, this turn was way too good. Brawl Silence, every time.
Yeah.
King Feoris, every time.
Also, yes.
Yeah, that's probably...
That's a can.
That's a...
Nah, it's a Reckless Rocketeer.
I love how you said that's a, and I was like about to say Reckless Rocketeer, and you're like, Cairn, and I'm like, there's a Cairn?
Admirable's eyes just glued to the green marker around one of the minions.
It's flying.
I mean, the Cairn is actually super important. Right?
It's super important.
Yeah.
So the body's sticking to play. Well, that makes it less important. So now Seiko gets to trade it off and Dynamatic.
Yeah, that's actually a really big deal. Yeah, take 4, not 5.
Yeah.
Good job.
Don't get too excited. This was a heated battle that just took place. So now Casie fighting with, well, a lot better than the scraps that he had.
Bomb chains.
But speaking of that, ooh, he is enforcing. That is some major enforcement.
Pretty sure you Moshog first?
416 Divine Shield.
Yeah.
What now?
You do get more attack in play with the Tomb Warden.
Right, but those Tomb Wardens have rush at some point, whereas the Moshog Enforcer definitely doesn't.
I think it also singularly dies easier, like in just a cleaner way.
You die to like Worthy Expedition number 2 into Keeper of the Grove or some garbage, I guess, if you played Moshog Enforcer.
It's not like you die. It's like just, I don't, honestly, they're kind of the same thing. The Divine Shield's an extra pip of health, and I was pretty interested in that.
Yeah. I'm also interested in playing Dr. Boom some point in this game.
Just didn't have time.
Right.
That's the way you disrupt that card now. 9 mana is a world of difference. It can get pressured through.
Mm-hmm.
Zephyrus active.
No, that's green.
Is that green?
That's green, yeah.
It looks so yellow to me. I need to look at the right side.
Yeah, it's green.
Yeah. I don't have the colorblind excuse.
Wait, there's a Hearthstone caster that's colorblind? I've never heard about this.
Brian Kibler.
Oh, really? He doesn't mention it like every single time I talk to him.
Brian Kibler rarely mentions things about himself.
Yeah. Oh, that was a much funnier way to put that. Well done. I just realized he's actually here this week as well, isn't he? All right, this worked out perfectly.
Yes, it did.
We're firing shots and he can actually defend himself. That's much better.
Can hold me.
That's the idea, and it's foreshadowing. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Got to take the risk.
Is Zephyrus going to be active now? It might be. That's a one-of, right? No. Okay.
No, he's still missing a couple things. Power of the Wild.
Oh, of course, yeah. He plays so many extra two-ofs in this deck.
I think it's actually just Power
It's
of the
just
Wild.
Power of the Wild, I think. Yeah. You're
Oh,
absolutely
he
right.
finds the Power of the Wild!
Fireball!
Hadouken!
Yeah, sure. Take a Pyroblast. Why wouldn't you? Obvious fireball is obvious.
Game 1 to Casie.
Game 1 of Casie in a markedly different Druid versus Warrior game. We've seen them be very, very grindy up until this point, and it's the grindy games that Warriors have been able to find a foothold in. Normally what we've been seeing, and again, this is the anomaly, this is not how the matchup is supposed to go, but what we've been seeing is Warrior being the aggressor, Druid having to stabilize, and then Warrior resets to grind and can find the way out of it. That was just a much more like vanilla how you'd expect the matchup to go, where Druid just, they took a bit of time to complete the quest, whatever, but the start wasn't super aggressive from the Warrior, and so that led to just constant aggression, bomb chain, threat after threat after threat from Casie. Eventually, Warrior just kind of falls over and folds to that.
Yeah, and honestly, I think the marked difference there is the early Snip Snap. We've been seeing Snip Snap connected to Eternium Rover in almost every single one of those matchups where the Warrior has been finding the edge.
Yeah.
I mean, that card is a world of difference, and being able to just attach that to an Eternium Rover, like if that's the difference, like I'm sticking into Eternium Rovers then.
Yeah.
But perhaps it's not. You also look at Casey's hand in that one. His hand was massive in that one. Oasis Surgers, plural S, the Nourish right on turn 6, being able to pick off the Restless Mummy after it trades early on, like
Phaoris for Reckless Rocketeer can immediately following up the first board clear. Even then, like, Seiko got fortunate in that outcome from the Brawl to be able to get the full board clear with the Dynamatic afterwards. So, like, that enormous Phaoris that he got afterwards, that was just insane. Like, I am usually not a fan of Phaoris, but it being there just for an extra vanilla threat to come down and just blow out the game, it was super important in that individual matchup.
Indeed it was. It's usually a bridge to other turns, but sometimes just a big, powerful card.
Blam it.
Yeah. So, game 1 over to Casie. We got to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're getting back into our 4th match of the day. We're going to find out if Seiko can tie this up and start turning things around. Stay tuned.
My name is Kevin Casie Eberlein. My practice group, especially Bunny Hopper and myself, why we are so good at this game and why we had a big advantage in 2018, because we trust ourselves in the ability of building decks. And we just test stuff that doesn't look good on paper, and then it just comes together. And that's what makes us sometimes have an edge, that we just are able to figure out the best or different decks that are better than others way earlier than other practice groups or other players in general.
My real name is Ling Nguyen and my gamertag is Seiko. Since I started playing Arena and was like Arena player for a really long time, I feel like I can adapt to new things pretty fast and play around random cards as well. I studied probability, so I like to do the highest probability things. It's nothing new, actually.
I know Seiko since a long time. Like the whole German group of people are all pretty good friends. We've been hanging out at literally every event, and then also we qualified for the same HCT Germany. He's really good at the game. He might be even technically a little bit better than myself, but I think that my lineup building, that I'm not as predictable as he is.
Even though Casie doesn't have the best score in Season 1, I feel like he's still one of the better guys. For sure, maybe one of the best, yeah. Still scared to face him and hope we can dodge the groups.
I am way too ambitious, even if I win. And that's just what makes me being able to compete for a longer time, because every single time, even if I win or even if I do well, if I'm not first, I am last. I got second, I got third, I got fourth, and I got top 8 4 times and like top 16 4 times. And I was like, I feel like the last 9 months I didn't accomplish anything because I didn't win any big thing.
I like winning a lot, so I always give my best to win. Even though I really get tired after a long day, I'm starting to misplay after the later rounds. I still don't think that I'm that great, but maybe the others are just worse.
Welcome back to Hearthstone Grandmasters for Europe. We're amidst our 4th match of the day, and right now Casey's got a 1-0 lead over Seiko in this one. I'm Nathan, that's Admirable Zamora, joined by Simon Sottle-Welch.
Hi.
And right now we are in for a good old-fashioned priest mirror match, Sottle. And I know this is one of your favorite things because you talk about it all the time.
What basis in reality does that statement have?
Well, you talk about it a lot.
Do I?
Yes. Not in a positive sense,
I just
but you do.
don't think that's factually accurate. I honestly, yeah, the less said about this matchup, the better. Like you set out your stall early on and said that, Priest needs to be tuned, something needs to be done about it. I'm completely in favor of that, and I think nothing really illustrates that more in terms of just the quality of the competitive metagame than just watching the mirror happen. Because a lot of the time in this matchup, you can just safely concede on turn 2.
I will say, if you like volatile, very powerful decks, though, this is the matchup for you.
Sure.
Which I do like those things. What I dislike is the warpingness of it. I think it makes people build decks in a weird way, and I will honestly say I'm quite interested in this particular game, however, because it's rare that both of them just have very good hands.
Yeah, problem is that Seiko has health buff plus inner fire to go alongside this as well, which could just be immediately game ending.
We haven't seen Casey's draw yet.
Nope. But going first, having the cleric, that's the dream. It's as good as it gets.
But
The
your
only
opponent
way-
has the cleric.
The only way it gets better is if you have the inner fire to back that up.
Psycho's got to think about inner fire himself.
Yep, which I think is why you'll see the coin get used here and this cleric be a 1/5.
Is someone injured?
No one's injured right now. You can see that.
Ball control made an excellent point last week. Just from a flavor perspective, this card doesn't make any sense. If it costs 5 and it came down later in the game, yeah, some people might be injured. You play it on 1.
Uh-oh.
She just doesn't make any sense.
Well, Casey cannot capitalize.
Like I said, safely concede on turn 2.
Wow.
The Pyro makes a difference, though. The Pyro offers opportunity to fight back with a spell off the top.
Conceding. Conceding is so final. Whereas Wild Pyro, Wild Pyro is full of opportunities.
Must consider.
You can see now just the way the breakpoints work. If the inner fire comes down on the cleric, trades over the opposing cleric, then suddenly a spell comes off the top. You have this kind of weird option where you could inner fire and kill the pyromancer. Then you're vulnerable a little bit to extra arms, but not particularly. So third option, yeah, injured Tolbit. This actually makes sense to me. I was just about getting there through process of elimination. I didn't like either of the first 2 plays I came up with, so this was play number 3, and it seems to make the most sense.
So now can Casey capitalize?
You are vulnerable more to extra arms this way.
So looking at Casey's draws, that would be relevant. So let's just say that Casey went Wild Pyro and Powered Shield. Only draws that capitalize are a copy of Silence and a copy of Topsy-Turvy. So that feels off the menu.
Yep.
Pretty easy conclusion then. And that's going to sacrifice the Northshire. So the problem for Seiko here, which Casie has very cleverly smarted, is that the injured Blade Master contests this.
Very cleverly smarted, is that
Spotted. Did I say smarted?
I think so.
Okay, in my
That was
head,
like a Homer Simpson line.
in my head, I said spotted.
All right. Maybe you did. I don't know. Okay, we just had it verified. You said smarted.
Nope,
Okay.
didn't happen.
Check the vault.
You're all word blind. It's like colorblind, except you mishear words all the time.
Yeah. Brian Kibler has that one too. This is just silly, isn't it?
Yeah, what's happening?
Northshire clerics are happening, Admirable. Northshire clerics are happening. But I believe this is the turn where Seiko takes full control.
I must consider.
I'm a bit curious about 2 Northshires in play, though.
Uh-huh.
Like, I have seen this go disastrously a number of times.
Yup.
So do you trade off a Northshire here?
Very possibly, yes.
But if you trade off a Northshire, that means...
I wonder.
Can I interest
don't
you
think
in
Seiko takes full control here. I think that he takes the lead, not control. He can't kill the Northshire and the injured Blade Master.
All right, sure. Semantics. I'm very interested in having a 10 turn in play.
I'm interested in a lot of things. My head is just exploding with possibilities. Oh my. Oh my.
So the clerics are living?
Oh my. I have seen this go disastrously a number of times.
Yup. Pyromancer, Power Word Shield.
Casey rubs his hands
Casey's
together.
rubbing his hands. He knows his outs. He needs Circle of Healing.
He's in his territory right now!
Seiko!
Oh!
Seiko, why? This...
Some cards just want to watch the world burn, and that's exactly this board state.
This is lethal sometimes? Question mark?
Seiko just drew 14 cards. He has no cards left in his deck. And he's shaking his head.
Yeah, more importantly, Casie is drawing all of those cards for his second circle of healing as well, which then draws 14 more for
The
Seiko.
animation times!
Yep. That's card number 10 now for Casie, I believe, which means Circle of Healing is not going to be found for him. Should he have played the Tolvir first? It doesn't make a difference, right? You draw an extra card.
I'm just look at what's happening! I don't want to talk about whether or not you play the Tolvir first. Look!
Well, I do, Admirable. What now?
Quickly. You have to cast a spell. You have to take care of the
Yeah, that's true.
Light Wardens.
This is actually the reason why you don't play the Tolvir, so you have the mana available to actually clap back if you don't find the lethal.
So Seiko has to find lethal soon.
And he just used one Inner Fire on the previous turn.
The Light Wardens are gone. He can't draw cards.
He doesn't have the second Inner Fire or the Topsy-Turvy in hand.
Yeah.
He has extra arms. That's like his best way of delivering damage right now. And he can't, like, he has to give up these minions that he has in play and start again. Because they're Nausea Clerics. They're going to get him killed at this point. Not on board with what Seiko did this game.
I see why he did it. It's just you saw why you don't.
Yeah.
As you said earlier, it's not the outcome that influences if a play was right or wrong. You know, caster vision, I think, is supremely capitalizing on my head here.
But the difference in this scenario than the one we were talking about before is that we both said it before the fact. We both said, yeah, you probably trade off that cleric. It's a way you can lose. And Seiko just didn't.
So all Casie has to do now is play the control game.
Yep.
How do you best do that?
Tolvir, Nephicet, Divine Spirit. Draws another card, pushes Fatigue further, puts a big taunt in the way.
Yeah, life's about to be an afterthought for sure. This might be one you think about. That stings. And look at the focus from Casie. He's calculating as much as he can as quickly as possible.
Like, I want you to rewind the webcam back like a turn and a half as to how disinterested Casie looked in this priest mirror when he was losing board. And now look, when he was given that circle of healing out. Like, that should give you all of the information you need.
I just can't believe he drew it. It all happened so fast.
Yeah.
How is Seiko going to push the rest of this damage before fatigue sets in?
There you were. Come on. Don't you understand how sweet you would have been?
This is so much more exciting.
I mean, that clip would have been legendary. Like, it actually would have gone down in history.
It's still legendary.
Yeah. Yeah.
You played 7 Cold Light Oracles in 1 turn.
But Seiko didn't blow up. He could have blown
All
up.
right. Casie could still blow up. Think about how awesome that would be.
Yeah. All right.
You still won? Like, oh my gosh.
Extra arms to cover the trade. Yep, loving it. Oh, wait. Extra arms.
You go for the Inner Fire.
You got an Inner Fire instead? Oh, yeah, sure. Sure. Yeah, I don't know why I was completely blind to this.
Casie can calculate all the burns from Seiko's side. He knows that the lethal possibility
This is
isn't
5.
there.
Yeah, 4 and then 5.
Wow.
Yeah. So even from here, 2 heals, heal to 9, heal to 11. The next 2 fatigues are 5 and 6. So Seiko has to win in 2 turns from this point because of that 10 damage being pushed.
So you need the 2/6 back? I mean, you got to stop the 10 first.
Yeah, you do.
And that meant getting, I think you need injured Tolvir to come back off that Seiko pump.
Sure.
As it stands, you put the Tolvir in the way, you trade off the Blade Master, you push 7 to face.
Yeah, skipping the heal here, totally fine as well. I just established the healing does nothing. You die in 2 turns time anyway, whether you heal or don't.
Casie, the heal means nothing. Bolster the board.
He doesn't know that?
There's a light ward on the other side.
Oh, good point. Yeah, sorry. He absolutely does know that.
Seiko can't win this turn. That's it. I'm counting 13.
A little eyebrow flex from Casie. Yep, well, you shouldn't have done that. Yeah, Casie gives a clap. Then questions abound over that one, Admirable.
That's the thing, is maybe you should have done that, and you just got punished. Like, that's a possibility.
It is, but it's one that I disagree with. I don't think he should have done that.
I don't think so either, but I got to call it into question at least, you know, like.
Yeah, of course. I'm always down for the discussion, but yeah, I think in terms of things that I'm willing to take a hard stance against, like that one was up there. To me, like I said it at the start of the turn, right? Like I feel like this is the turn where he takes really strong control of this game. If you're in really strong control of the game, you don't want to give your opponent who's had some pretty rough draws, or, well, it's a pretty good draw, but opponent who you are running over, the opportunity to come back in the game, because that's what the Priest Mirror is about. Like if you win the board between turn 1 and 4, which is when generally one of the Priest players does win the board, it's almost impossible for the opponent to come back into that. And you opened up a world where he could come back into it. And like, I'm super happy he did it because it made the game incredibly interesting and we had a good time. I just don't think it was the play.
I mean, I said at the start, if you like extremely explosive and volatile matchups, that was the game to watch.
It sure was.
Not quite the way I expected it, but either way, let's hear from the man himself. Casie, can you hear us?
Hey guys, how are you?
Well, fantastic.
So,
how are you?
Casie, I am great.
Right off the bat, simple yes or no question. Was that a throw from Seiko?
Yes, and that comes from when you're not playing the game. So, can I fire shots this week again?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I think Seiko is definitely in top 4 of our division, but please, Seiko, I hope you're watching this. Play the game more. He picked every single week the same class. And I was like, okay, I'm going to play my Druid in game 1 and get a free win. He picked Warrior again. Just step up your game. You are incredible. You are a nice guy and you play the game really well. But play the game more.
Casie, doesn't sound much like firing shots as much as it does just a call to action.
Yeah, like, I don't know.
I want to hear you throw some actual shade. Me and Sottle are on deck. Come on, give it to me.
He already confirmed it was a throw. What more do you want? Come on.
That's just a recognition of the spot.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
Give it to me.
I actually print screened this, double clearing both of us. I'm gonna lose.
Okay, I'll take that. That works for me. Talk to me about the lineup building perspective. We had a balance patch this week, and a number of players had swapped over to Malagos Druid. A lot of warrior changes that were coming in. How did the balance patch affect you in terms of building your lineup this week?
So specifically, the lineup this week was just like, because Bunny and I we prepare a lot together, and we were like, we don't want to counter each other. We just want to play the good stuff that beats a lot of stuff. So yeah, like next week we probably have some spicy stuff. Like I wanted to submit something different this week, but I was like, no, Bunny, you don't want to play that. So okay, let's just skip it.
So we've been very excited about Malagos to this, and we've got Orange coming up next, who has the Mali Druid in there. Like, have you put any time into that deck? Did you consider it in coming into any of these weeks? Are you surprised to see it from a few players this week around?
I actually already wanted to submit it in like the last Masters tour because I think it was pretty good at beating warriors. Mm-hmm. But I think at beating anything else, the deck is kind of weak. Like, I think normal Quest Druid is just much better in every matchup, except against Shaman in the warrior matchup. But warrior is not that bad if you don't run double super collider, Deathwing, and whatever.
And so let's talk about your standing here now. You moved to a 4-3 record overall, and so you're going to be going into rematches from here on out. This is very reminiscent of Season 1, where the wins were kind of ping-ponging back and forth. What can you do specifically to get that edge and set yourself aside from Season 1 and from the rest of the field?
Keep playing as much as I do and preparing together with Radu, Bunny Hopper, and Thais as much as we do. Like, one day before submission, we got messaged by Orange and Huntace, why are you playing so much? We were in a Discord call, and we played for 16 hours straight, just mirror matches.
Oh my gosh.
So keep playing this, then be slightly ahead of most others in the group, and make them underestimate Shaman. Shaman is, in my opinion, really good. Don't underestimate it, especially if Bunny is playing it.
Playing it well, no less.
Yeah, Bunny keeps winning what should be unfavorable matchups in that spot, but anyway, Casie, it was a pleasure to talk to you. It's good to see you with a smile on your face after last week as well, so well played.
Yeah. Have a nice day. Bye.
I've been having a great day.
This has been incredibly enjoyable. This is
Having a
exactly
good
what we
time.
needed after the
Having a
emotional
good time.
trauma of what we had last week. Like,
Yeah.
just a good, hype, happy day of Hearthstone. This has been sweet.
It has been. And so that